When building a workshop, your first option is starting it in a corner of the garage or basement with a few tools, and once you are skilled enough, start thinking on adding new and better tools to take on new projects, and expand the shop as your interest on woodworking increases rapidly. Well, if that is your case, then in this video you will learn how you can set up a cheap but robust woodworking shop in a small space that fits your needs. Let's get started. The first and most important question is, what type of tools do you need? This is probably the most difficult part of the process for many beginners just getting interested woodworking as a hobby, because probably you are on a budget and you just don't know the type of projects you'll be working on once you get your new shop running. And don't forget the limited space you have. Okay, before we talk about what power tools you need, let's get focused on the very first component you'll need: a practical, solid workbench, which is essential for your woodworking shop. There are many ways to build one, even there are lots of videos here on YouTube, showing the entire process to get one built. But as with any other tool, there are some factors to consider before starting building one. A medium-sized workbench will be enough for your purposes. It will be used for every task involved in any process of a project. Cutting, measuring, planing with a hand plane, assembling, etc., all will be done by using the workbench, sometimes even finishing a furniture. When building your workbench, make sure it has these two things that are necessary: straight, flattened surface, and a woodworking vise. Now, these are the main power tools you need to start your shop. 1. Table saw. The table saw is another necessary tool in any woodworking shop. There are different styles and sizes, but definitely you'll need to look after a cheap one, but no necessarily low quality. Just make sure the table saw is solid and has an accurate lift and till mechanism, otherwise, cutting pieces accurately will be a challenge. If you don't want to buy a table saw, you can buy a used circular saw, and buy quality blades for it and use it as basic alternative. 2. Router. Another tool you will need is the router for shaping edges and profiles and cutting joinery. Router is the most utilized electric hand tool in a woodworking shop. There are infinite uses you can give to it. There are fixed base routers, plunge routers, and trim routers. To save money, a plunge router is the way to go for starters, because by adding some router gigs, it becomes a multifunctional power tool. 3. Jigsaw. Then there is the jigsaw, or if you can afford it, a bandsaw. This tool is ideal for making curved or irregular cuts and can cut angles typically up to 45 degrees, for example, to make miter joints. 4. Random orbit sander. If you really are on a budget and want to do a good finishing, then you might want to buy a 6-inch random orbit sander. If you have a big budget, you can get a belt sander and a palm sander to smooth surfaces for finishing. 5. Drill. A standard drill will come in handy to make holes, drive screws, take out screws, etc. It's very useful when assembling furnitures. Of course, these are some of the power tools needed on any woodworking workshop, but for starts, these are all what they need. Besides these power tools, there are the hand tools, which will allow a beginner to make most of all projects of woodworking, like hammers, hand planes, chisel sets, clamps, squares, measuring tapes, and a multipurpose hand saw. Okay, these are in summary all tools you need to start your own woodworking shop in your garage for cheap. If you want to know how to get all the equipment, tools and plans to start building your own workshop for less than $1,000, I'll leave the full article in the description. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to get the best tips and tricks for woodworking.